this fellow right here. Anybody watch Channel 2 News Friday night? Nobody watches Channel 2 News? Or I was on Channel 2 News. Maybe that's why you weren't watching. But this guy right here was actually the real star for that segment. They did it to promote this fair, and we went up in the Oakland hills. We're in the hills in the woods. That's why I always tell people, where'd you pick that? Oh, in the hills, in the woods. So this guy, we managed to unearth with the camera. This is actually on Channel 2 Friday night in Don McKenzie's segment. So in honor of that, we're going to eat it. So we're going to do this one. We're going to do. We'll see how the time goes on this. So what I'm thinking is we might try to do 2 dishes with each mushroom. We have some pet recipes we do with mushrooms that were developed over the years. But if you haven't had a mushroom before, the best way to check it out, to see what it is eat it by itself without any real adornment. Typically, we use either olive oil or butter to cook the mushroom in, and a little salt and pepper. And you do that with the mushroom before dinner when you're still hungry with nothing else in the way, and then you really get an idea of what that mushroom is. Mushrooms are really good with dinner and entree as well, but you're not going to get near as good a look and near as good of a sense of what the mushroom is about. So anytime the first time you eat a mushroom, I recommend you try it by itself. It's very simple. And that's typically cooking it with a little olive oil, a little butter. I say cook because a lot of people don't know this. I'm going to tell you one of the myths that we're going to bust right here now. You cannot digest a mushroom if it's not cooked. You all go, oh, I eat them on salads all the time. Well, maybe you do, but you're not digesting them. You're putting them in the digestive tract. But your digestive tract is not capable of breaking down the mushroom flesh. Mushrooms are not comprised of cellulose, as is vegetable and animal flesh. Mushroom flesh is mycotype, which is similar to the exoskeletons of insects. It's a different cellular makeup, and our digestive tract cannot break that down without the help of cooking. So you need to cook a mushroom enough to break down the cell of your mushrooms. Okay? And that goes for the agaricus on a salad. That's basically a bad idea. The button mushroom industry doesn't like you to know that you can't digest that mushroom because they sell millions of pounds a year. People put on raw salads. But it's not the best idea. I'm not saying anybody's getting sick or dying from it. You're not digesting it. Most mushroom people I know pick those things off the salad when people try to give them to them. People understand the digestive reality about it. So I can go on forever with this thing in my hand. I just like to talk. I know you guys aren't hearing a word I'm saying. You're just looking at this mushroom. We'll come back to this guy for a second dish. We're going to work with the chanterelles first, so let's talk about those a little bit. Another mushroom that's known the roll over is very popular to eat the roll over. It's not quite that simple. The best name for this is golden chanterelle if you want to be accurate, because when it comes down to actual Latin species, we're actually stuck. I didn't pick these myself. I believe they're probably picked in code. So our local, it's a golden chanterelle. So is this confusing? It shouldn't be, because they're all golden chanterelles and they all taste and smell about the same. So don't let that bother. So we're going to go ahead and use these and mess them up. We don't want you to know what they really taste like. So what we're going to do is once we did this recipe one time a few years ago, we almost always cook our chanterelles this way, unless we have some recipe that calls for something else. And what happened is basically, what you want your dip. You can put a little bit, I tend to put curd. And when you eat it, ideally you try to get a piece of the chanterelle and a piece of pear on the same fork or spoon or toothpick or whatever you got going. And get that, it's a three-way flavor that's going to hit you. You're going to have the chanterelle flavor, you're going to have your pear flavor, and you're going to have your pork flavor. I call myth. That's not true. In fact, it's really hammers you. I believe, I've been told, I haven't seen the session, but you guys watch Alton Brown and his food science show? Apparently he did a thing with the button mushrooms that he got them totally wet in water and he cooked them up next to some that he didn't get wet, and he proved that there's absolutely no difference on his show.
They get rained on.
Exactly. When do mushrooms grow? When it rains, right? So do you think mushrooms can take a little water, especially on the top where it tends to be dirty? Of course they can. They were born that way. So chanterelles, you can just flat out wash. Black chanterelles, I put them in a tub of water and agitate them like a washing machine. Pull them out, put them in the lettuce spinner, spin them off. Believe Now, leaks mean that they have a spore-bearing surface is a sponge. Now, what does a sponge do when it gets next to water? It loads up with water, right? Do I want to pour water on the sponge? See, that would be indiscreet. So the question is not whether or not you're going to wash your mushroom. It's a question of how you're going to wash your mushroom. And what is the mushroom that you're handling, and what can you do with it? Again, this mushroom was born out in the woods getting rained on. This cap is capable of taking moisture. I can hold it like this and run it under water if I need to. Or better yet, with this mushroom, I'm not going to submerge this in water. I'm not going to turn it upside down and run water onto the sponge. Gill mushrooms, generally I don't like to get the gills wet. It looks bad. It doesn't really hurt them that much. But you don't need to. Mushrooms grow clean underneath. That's a pristine surface. It pushes up through the dirt. So you may have some dirt and debris on the top. But if you're careful when you collect, you're not going to get that dirt all over the place. You're not going to get any dirt on the sponge. The sponge is clean. It grows clean. You picked it clean. The only reason that sponge is dirty is if you made a mess of it after you picked it. So don't do that. Pay attention to when you're collecting and pick clean. Every moment spent picking a mushroom in the woods is worth 10 minutes back in the kitchen. You start getting that dirt in places where it wasn't already, and now you sometimes it's either difficult to clean it or it's impossible to clean it. If you're picking morels and you got a bunch of dirt in that bag, you put the dirt